All right, everyone, welcome. We are into episode 2. We are the New York Knicks. Whether you consider that a good or a bad thing, that's what we are and who we are. For specifics, we are 12 and 25. I think the last time we met a couple days ago, we were 4 and 7. And so I have simulated up to January 1st. So we're about a month and a week, about 5 weeks or so away from the trade deadline. And we're probably about 2 weeks still away from when I'd be comfortable making a move, just because any of the kind of newly signed free agents in real life are not really eligible until that time, kind of middle of January. And so that would open up the full slate of available players, including some at least one player that we may be looking at moving. So we're going to get into all of this. I have a whole kind of agenda. Episode should go about an hour or so today. And my goal by the end of this is to not only be through the trade deadline, but through the entire regular season is my thought. We will be through season 1, and then we will be into probably the playoffs for the next episode / the off season. So it'll be getting going here pretty quick, as I mentioned. So I'm Mike Lowe, though. You can find me on Twitter at MikeLowe47. Thanks to everyone who's subscribing to the YouTube channel. That is awesome. We've been seeing a huge uptick there more recently, and I just super appreciate y'all being here and getting involved in the discussion. And if you do have questions, again, this whole general manager themed streaming series is with you in mind. You are the assistant general managers in this. I'm pushing the buttons, I guess literally and figuratively, but also you have input into this. So, and I would super appreciate your basketball expertise, as we're in a really tough predicament with this team. We're going to get into the team stats here, but if you recall, our team, when this thing all started, it came down to kind of getting to know our governor a little bit and that level of patience, right? 1 star, that importance of money could come into some future discussions as well. But this guy wants to win. He wants team success. He wants a team image. He's going to be involved, although luckily he really hasn't been yet. And his patience is a little bit scary. And so as much as I know people like, I love the rebuild, we got to do a rebuild. And I had mentioned how it's not really what I want to do, especially working for Philip Turner here, who is a bit of an a-hole in regards to his expectations and his patience. And so this guy wants to win. Unfortunately, we're not doing that. We are, I think, the 3rd worst team in the conference or in the entire NBA. So we're 12 and 25. Only Charlotte is worse than us in the Eastern Conference. We're at a .324 winning percentage. And again, Houston, the only team that's worse than us in the West. So we're not in great shape. Again, 8. If you think about kind of the top 8, and I think now the NBA even does 9 or 10 technically, like a play-in game or something. But really realistically, I mean, we need to be creeping closer to 500, at least into this kind of 10 games back range. And right now we're 15. So, can we make up 5 games from January until April? Yeah, absolutely. But it's been tough. The team has been relatively healthy. We've had a few injuries and whatnot. But our defense, just as I kind of talked about, our defense has been really bad. One of the worst in the league as far as points against. It is the worst in the league. And we're going to take a look at team stats here. But it's not been pretty. And it's just, like I said, it really it puts us in a really tricky situation. Because our really, we should be selling, right? We should be having a discussion today about selling. But our GM wants us to win now, right? And so it's a really, really weird spot to be in. But as I mentioned, right, points against, you don't see us, I'm sorry, for points for, we're neither at the top nor the bottom, so that's fine. Points against, we are the worst in the NBA, even worse than I had thought. I knew we weren't a very good defensive team, but that's really the story. I was looking at this stuff earlier, and there's rest of the stuff isn't all that bad. I mean, I can tell you, just kind of saving you from looking through all of this, the areas that stand out, everything else is kind of middle of the road, even rebounding and so on. We're not good or bad really at much. Our offense is kind of holding its own. Where we're lacking is really playmakers on defense, shutdown guys, right? And this is all simulated games, right? So I understand like, oh, well, that's because you're playing the games. We're not in this. So we are the dead last team in steals per game, and we are one of the worst teams as far as blocked shots, right? So, and of course, that's going to play in the defense. And what I kind of look at is not only points against, so like perimeter defense, inside defense, we don't really have like playmaking ability. So again, steals, blocks happening on the defensive side of the ball. We're also not protecting the ball all that well. We are the 9th worst team in regards to turnovers, right? So, I mean, just protecting the ball, right? Kind of goes in hand with steals and blocks. Fouls, I don't think really stood out. Oh yeah, we're not actually fouling a ton. But again, that sometimes comes from just we're getting blown by on defense. So some other parts that I thought stood out, again, if we look at our opponent's field goal percentage, we're the worst in the league, right? So probably a lot of inside scoring, bad perimeter defense. We look at 3-point percentage as a team against for our opponents, 3rd highest, which is bad, of course, for your opponents. So these are not good. Our defense is just straight up bad, right? And if we kind of look at it from like, say, the player perspective, we can go in here, and I really like these advanced metric stats. And so if you're not familiar with these, there's definitions at the top of the screen. I'm not going to go through all of these on this call or on this stream, I should say. But if you want to kind of go through and familiarize yourself with some of these more advanced metrics, please do, because they come in handy for sure. So, what I'm looking at here as we're about, I don't know, what have we played? Like almost 40 games. We're not even halfway through the season, maybe in the 30s. I think we're 11 and 25 or something like that. We talked about Derrick Rose is not a long-term fit here. He is on the trade block. He very well may be traded in this particular stream. He's 34. He's not going to be back next year with us. Quickly is a guy that I liked. I talked about kind of his development, and it's just not happening just yet. But his perimeter defense is decent. I like his playmaking. He can contribute on offense. So he's a guy I like. And we talked about how I'd be really curious to see what he looks like around the trade deadline. And unfortunately, it's not quite as good as I was hoping. So I'm not really ready to give Emmanuel Quickley here the keys to point guard with the Knicks just yet. I still want him on the team. If we look, he's going to be around. We will definitely pick up that option. And I really do trust in this coaching staff without kind of getting into and just showing you every little screenshot here. We have a very kind of player-friendly team staff, and they're very, very good about developing players, right? They're very good about developing defensive players. And so this is why, with this season looking like a loss, I don't mind keeping Quickley around. Let's see how it looks next year, even at the trade deadline. We can kind of kick his decision can down the road, as they say. But I like Quickley. And as far as point guard, that's about all we have to really look at. We look at shooting guard. So Jalen Brunson's a good player, right? It's his first year with the Knicks. He's putting up really nice, a game score of 11.5. That's solid for sure. He is turnover is 8.9. It's not terrible. Assist ratio is really solid. 31, especially for a shooting guard. He's good at the ball. Let's see. His estimated wins added 1.9. Again, not bad. But he's a guy making quite a bit of money. And again, he can contribute on offense. He's not a good defender, right? So he is part of our problem. You could say he's part of our solution on offense for sure. But he makes quite a bit of money. That contract is ticking down each year, but he's getting older, obviously. We all are. And I worry a little bit about his health. So I kind of see Jalen Brunson as he's kind of like a stock portfolio, or maybe like an individual stock here. Of saying like, hey, he's done all right for us, but I really think this might be the time to consider selling Jalen Brunson before he starts breaking down with injuries. He's still putting up, solid stats. He's got good ratings, but we also don't have we don't have a ton else at shooting guard. I mean, Evan Fournier, I like, but do I want him starting at the age of 30? Certainly not next year. He will be around next year is kind of the plan. And I like him off the bench for sure. Really, really excellent 3-point shooter, which you can see with his true shooting percentage and his effective field goal percentages being pretty darn high. So I like him on the team, but again, not so much as a starter. RJ Barrett, I like a lot. We're going to talk a lot about RJ Barrett on this stream. We need to keep him around. He is not super excited about that idea. Chemistry is not the greatest with this team right now with how bad they've been. But we need to come up with a solution because RJ Barrett has been our best player, either player A or player B as far as, best player on the team. And he is again, estimated wins added 4. That's, he's 22 years old. I mean, this is a solid number, not even halfway through your 22-year age season. So RJ Barrett is a primary focus for us. We definitely want to find a way to get him re-signed and brought back next year, even if he's not thrilled about it. And then it brings us to the power forward and center positions. Julius Randle has been excellent. Again, 15.3, just doing a lot of really nice things here. 4.3 estimated wins. So he's really been our team MVP. And at age 28, he's still got a few more years, especially because at least our assistant coach, I know, has that kind of that badge that will work well with like aging players. So I think Julius Randle's a guy that we can keep around and really continue to get productivity out of. Same thing with Evan Fournier. I don't mind. I don't need to run guys out when they're 28, when they're 30, especially if they're not guys that we're completely depending on. Now, we do depend a lot on Julius Randle, but he has been just a really solid player for us. Again, you can see his ratings there. He fits what I'm kind of looking for in post defense and rebounding. He's also a really good perimeter defender, so that's really nice to have, and he can contribute down low on offense. Again, contract is not terrible. It is going up though as he gets older. So, but right now he's not really a problem that we're concerned with. Obi Toppin, he's a guy I don't mind coming off the bench. He's been okay. He's a guy, again, I'd like to see our coaching staff, kind of similar to Quickly, develop the post defense and the rebounding a little bit. And let's see what that looks like next year. He can contribute on offense, but overall, we'll see. The jury's still out on Obi Toppin. We have a team option, which we will pick up for next year, most likely. And we'll just kind of see how he goes developing at age 24 already. So he's not young per se. And then at center, Mitchell Robinson has been kind of up and down. But overall, he's still a guy that I kind of see as a core piece to this team. His game score is a little bit low. His biggest issue is turnover ratio. He's by far the highest on our team. I don't even think anyone's even close, right? I mean, Evan Fournier, I guess. But he's at 25.3. So a quarter of the time he touches the ball, he's turning it over. I mean, that has to improve, right? And that's, of course, bringing down, just possession stats and things like that. Certainly not helping us. But he's still at a positive EWA. And it's, again, that's nice to see. But we need to see some improvement out of him. But again, he fits what I'm looking for. Post defense, rebounding, can contribute on offense a little bit. And I would like to see what our coaching staff does with him as well. If we look at his contract, it's pretty friendly. And so I certainly don't mind keeping him around. And that's the plan. I've really kind of liked what I've seen. Robinson has been hurt. He broke his nose. You can see up the top there, he's still out 1 to 2 weeks. The only other injury I recall us having really was Brunson was hurt for a little bit, but been pretty healthy. But anyway, stepping in has been Hartenstein. And he's been a really nice player. So again, pretty comparable to Robinson, especially, and of course the ratings are pretty similar. They're the same age, almost exactly the same size. But a 7.7, again, not great, but for a guy just kind of coming in, 0 badges, that kind of thing, it's not bad. He is, certainly better at holding onto the ball, right? I mean, far and away, 2.5 times more protective of his possessions with the ball. And his EWA is almost identical because of that, right? And so although he's not putting up all of the same flashy and even the same rebounding stats and usage stats and things like this, he's being smart with the ball. He's not turning it over. And to me, I like it. I'm not looking to replace Robinson at all with Hartenstein. But I just really see this as a nice 1-2 combo. I think this is a decent player. Again, he's a better rebounder, I believe, than Robinson. No, I guess not. And he's certainly not as good as a post defender. But again, let's see if our coaching staff can develop. He's certainly a guy that I like coming off the bench. And contract, again, pretty friendly. we're going to have a lot more decisions to make next year as we look through that, right? So, but that's kind of the roster and just kind of how it's looking. I mean, it's just the defense has been bad, and it's not a huge surprise. We just don't have a ton of defenders on this team. But as I mentioned, the coaching staff should help. So I talked about RJ Barrett, right? And right now we really don't have a ton of decisions to make here. First off, I don't even know why it says Quickly is refusing to resign, because that's a team option. So he doesn't really have a choice unless I'm missing something. And we do plan to bring him back, but maybe it should say he's not happy about us re-signing him, but too bad. Cam Reddish is a guy that it says, 1 year and refused. That's accurate. I have no plans to bring him back, even at 23. He's just not really a fit for what we're trying to do here. He's a good perimeter defender, so I mean, maybe, but I just feel like a 72 overall. I mean, that's the only thing he's really contributing here. 6'8" guy who can actually guard a 2 guard, which is nice. And I don't know, there's always that option, but the coach isn't using him, right? It'd be one thing if coach was bringing him off the bench when we're up or something, but he's just not getting any playing time. So don't see the reason. We have a few second round draft picks. I'd rather find a guy like that, much cheaper, because financial situation is not going to be great next year. And then, of course, that brings us to RJ Barrett, who has now made up a decision that he refuses to re-sign with the team. This is not good. This is not good at all. If we kind of look at his contract, of course, he's making really next to nothing for the quality of player that he is. He was the 3rd overall pick by the Knicks in 19. And by the end of this year, he should have enough bird years that we can go over the cap to re-sign him. But if he's not willing to talk, it's going to be an issue. My understanding, and this is where I could really use the expertise from the community here, I believe in real life he's going to be a restricted free agent. So even though another team could sign him, we have the ability to match that, and he would stay with the Knicks. At least I think that's how it works. If that's not the case, I don't know. We're going to have to just kind of play around with it. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have any plans of like moving this guy at the trade deadline. I would rather kind of take my chances, get him to re-sign, try to bring him back, try to make him happy, whatever. He's a guy I would really like to build around. Again, he's a player that matches up a lot of what we're trying to do. Perimeter defense is really nice. So again, he can play the 2 and 3. Maybe post defense can be a little bit better, but at 6'6", that's gonna be hard to get much higher. Really good playmaker, can score as well, and pretty athletic, smart player. Still lots of untapped potential at just 22. So, I mean, to me, he's the star of our team for sure. So to say we don't want him to walk away is a humongous understatement. But again, it's tricky, right? Because our owner wants us to win, and we're in a position where we need to sell because we're just not a good team, right? So I don't know. I mean, we're very close to possibly being fired on this particular stream. Like, this guy has 1 star of patience, so it's a little bit freaky, right? That all kind of ties in, all of this talk about the players we like, the players we're trying to extend, and so on. I mean, it all kind of ties into when we start looking towards the draft, because really I think on the 3rd episode we'll be probably at the draft, or at least the start of the offseason. And we have 2 first-round picks, right? We have the Knicks. The Mavericks, I believe, are a pretty darn good team this year. So, again, that's probably not going to be a great pick, but still, it's a body, and it's going to be a decent player for sure if we're looking at role players. We also have 3 second-round picks. Now, we don't need these. To me, these are trade collateral. These are, maybe we move up from pick 22 to pick 17 or something like that, right? I mean, that's kind of how I'm viewing these. Or maybe it's something that puts us over the top with a trade before the deadline here. I have set up my own sliders. I by the way, created a video kind of showing those yesterday. So including like simulation sliders. So the trade settings are higher than default, right? It's harder to negotiate with players. It's harder to make trades with the AI. It's a little bit tricky, and I actually really like the challenge, and the balance seems really, really nice. So again, just kind of showing you how we're looking here. We have 5 draft picks in next year's draft. That's way more than we need. I mean, we don't even really need 3, more than 3 at least. So we'll see. But again, maybe this is maneuverable. Maybe this pick is pick number 5, and we want to move up to pick 3, right? I mean, we could, or pick 2 or whatever it is. I mean, we're going to have some maneuverability when it comes to the draft. And I think that's going to be huge for this team, because it's weird, as bad as we are, I don't think we have a ton of holes. I like I like the two forwards we have, and I like our center. We need a point guard, and I like Brunson at the 2, but I don't really think he's a fit, as we saw in the last stream, kind of for what our coach is trying to do, right? Again, Hartstein is off the bench because Mitchell Robinson's hurt, but the other forwards are good fits. Rose is going to be gone. Brunson is kind of like, I don't know. It's hard. He's a good player. It's just, I don't think he's going to be kind of our long-term fit. And just as we talked about with the injury potential that's starting to kind of creep up with him and so on. So what does that do for us? Well, let me show you a couple of the trades that we are looking at, right? We know about Alex Caruso. I had him on here the last time. And there's another trade that looks pretty interesting when I was kind of exploring around, and it's a trade for Jamal Murray. Now, let me show you what that trade is. So if I go over to the Nuggets, click on Jamal Murray, it should pull it up. Yeah, so it's basically a flip-flop of our two backcourts, right? We know we want to move Rose. I just talked about how Brunson would make sense to ship out, right? And by doing so, we're going to clear, more than $25 million a year, a little tick over of an average of about 25 for the next 3 seasons. So again, all right, well, that doesn't sound too bad. Caldwell Pope, it says, has a 1-year deal, but it's weird. It shows 3. So I think 3 is actually accurate. I'm not thrilled about this contract. This would probably be a contract I'd want to move. I like the player. Again, he fits what we're looking for. Perimeter defense. We certainly need it. I like when he can shoot the ball. I like, not only are you a good defender, but you have a role on offense, right? And his overall is high enough that the coach would use him. So I don't mind Caldwell Pope on the team whatsoever. It's just, that's a little expensive, right? That kind of brings our savings down to just $10 million for next year by getting rid of Brunson. Here is the good and bad news. The good news in this trade is we'd get Jamal Murray. The bad news is we're now adding $30+ million to that deal. Now, if we subtract the 10 we already kind of had in the bank from this deal, we're adding $20 million. But you're getting Jamal Murray, right? Does Jamal Murray fit what we're looking for? Yes, very much so. And a point guard, I want a playmaker who can play perimeter defense, and I'd like you to be able to contribute on offense. Well, he can do a lot more than that, right? This guy can be our star player. Him and RJ Barrett, I think, could make an incredible pairing. This would actually give us a little bit of flexibility, even with someone like Julius Randle, who we might not have to depend on as much. Therefore, we can move his larger contract as he gets older. It gives us some flexibility, but it also potentially cripples us, right? And it's a little bit scary in that regard. So if we go and look at the salary cap here, let me find where it is. Oh, I was just looking at it earlier. There's so many menus here. Oh, yeah, it's in finances. So salary cap breakdown, right? Let's look at the top first. Don't even worry about the sorting. So at the top, we're at $155 million. We're already about $31 million under the cap, over the cap, and we're already $4 million over the luxury. Now that's for this year. And so if we sort here by, these are players, of course, that will be gone next year. I don't think, other than RJ Barrett, we're going to pick up the Quigley option. Oh, I'm sorry, did it wrong way. Here we go. These players. So these are the players that'll be gone. The only person is RJ Barrett. Let's pause on that thought for a second, because let's just say we bring in that extra $20 million we just talked about by bringing in Murray. Okay, so now we're $50 million over the cap. Now we're, 25 or so million over the luxury tax threshold. And folks, we have not re-signed RJ Barrett yet. Like, that's a problem, right? That is a problem. And so as excited as I was, where I was like, oh, wow, this trade makes sense. Let's just flip-flop our backcourts. This is great. I don't know if it is, right? The other option I'm looking at, speaking of backcourt, because again, from episode 1 to 2, that's been kind of the general theme here, is there is really only one point guard that I'm right now really, really like a lot, and that's Tyrese Proctor. I have looked at Scoot Henderson as well. And again, not bad perimeter defense. playmaking, can contribute on offense for sure. He's actually a higher rated prospect at the point guard position than Tyrese Proctor. But Proctor just fits a little bit more what I'm doing. I like this inside-out game. I like that his perimeter defense is better. His potential is a B, so that's a little bit low. And here's another weird thing I've noticed about NBA 2K23, by the way. They don't always match up. That's wrong. So remember it said B on his player card. Here it says B-. Henderson's here says B+. And then if I go down, it's B-. So I don't know if that's just like inaccuracy because I'm still scouting them. If that is, that's super cool, actually. So anyway, there's a couple point guards I'm looking at, but if we go and look at kind of their data, where are they expected to be picked? Well, Scoot Henderson may or may not be there with our first round draft pick. I think Tyrese Proctor will be, but is it a stretch? And I have no problem picking. If there's a guy that I want, and if I'm the 10th pick, or I'm sorry, if I'm the 5th pick, but he's the 10th best prospect, but he's the guy I want, I will take him. I don't mind stretching a little bit like that. And so I'm a big believer in best available player. But again, basketball rosters are so small that kind of it doesn't go out the window, but you have to look at it a little bit differently. So if Tyrese Proctor scouts out well, truthfully, he might be in a better position for us to grab him over, say, a Jamal Murray. Strictly because of financial reasons, right? And so that's kind of where we're at with this decision. There is a smaller deal that we briefly, I don't know if we looked at the exact same one, but it was for that Caruso on the Bulls. So again, let's go into the trade finder here. Trade finder, go to the Bulls. This would be a much smaller deal. It wouldn't be, earth-shattering, which is fine, but it would be moving Derrick Rose, which is something we want to do. And we'd get Caruso, who's on a 2-year deal. Again, playmaking, perimeter defense, can't really contribute on offense, but he'd be coming off the bench. And so at the very least, it would give us a decent 1-2 punch with Quickly. We would have two, just okay, I guess, point guards, but at least we have a couple like we do now with Rose. So it kind of buys us a little bit of insurance. We're kind of flipping Derrick Rose for this. But again, we're also adding $9 million in salary to that chart we just looked at, where, that's not, I don't know, do we want to be doing that for a 28-year-old player who we might not even need? If we draft that point guard, we don't want Alex Caruso on the team, right? We already have Quickly, and we would have Proctor. And so I don't know, it's weird. It's almost like we're kind of falling into this trap of like, well, sometimes the best move is no move at all, right? Because that's kind of where I sort of see us going, right? And so anyway, I did say I wanted to wait a couple weeks because we have some players on the team, or at least one, but there's other players throughout the league who are not available to trade just yet. The trade deadline is February 9th, and we're going to, pretty much sim right up through this. We will eventually get to another point in the season, which is the, I don't know if it shows on the calendar, but like the last day to resign players or something. I forget where that is, but anyway, that should be showing, but it's not. But anyway, so let's just go ahead. We're going to at least kind of simulate until January 15th, and then we can just kind of see what's going on. Before we do that, real quick, just around the league, there has not been a lot. There's only been one trade. I love that the Spurs now have a guy named Duncan Robinson. That's amazing. That's the only trade so far. The only signing since we last spoke was Dennis Smith Jr. going to the Warriors on a small deal. Those are the hirings that I made. There's been no firings since the league started, and just a bunch of send-downs, call-ups, that kind of thing. So it's been really quiet. Now, one of the things I said in my slider set is when we get to the trade deadline day, or maybe the day before, I'll probably do the day of, I'm going to kick up the trade slider up to like 100 or whatever it lets us do, right? So I think that I have to remember where that even is, but in one of these 6,000 menus, there is a like trade frequency slider somewhere. Where the heck is it? By the way, you're getting a good look at the settings that I streamed yesterday as well. It's not in here. That's simulation ticker. Let's see, so we can find it quickly later. It must be on this screen. Yeah, so trade frequency. So I will max that up to 100 on the day of the deadline. In real life, there were about 20 trades last year. 10 of them happened on the trade deadline, like day or day before. So again, that's kind of what we're hoping to see. I've actually been surprised at how few trades there have been so far. But anyway, let's go up to the January 15th. Again, our record at this time, we're 12-25. We're the third worst team in the league, and oh my gosh, like we're going to be fired. Let me save this, by the way, just in case. We're going to have a decision to make if I get fired here before we even get through the first season. Like, I'm not one to undo stuff, but it's like, what do we do with our streaming series? I mean, come on, like at least give me a couple of years. All right, let's sim. Another loss. Okay, so we're going to be grabbing some new targets here. Let's do this. And we're going to be ready to get some new players for sure. So, all right. So, by the way, we have an update on Tyrese Proctor now, so we can see what his official potential is. It's B, so it's not great. He'll probably come in, though, ready to play, but he might just not ever be like a superstar in the league. And that's a little worrisome for a top 5 pick. Scoot Henderson, his potential comes in even worse, B minus. So I will stick with my original answer that I do like him more. Tyrese Proctor, that is. I edited the name of that one center because I could not find a Derek Livers on Duke, but I did see a Derek Lively the second, and I'm guessing that's him. I don't know why the person who made this draft class had that, but anyway, that's been fixed. But let's continue. Let's scout the guys that are almost 100 for us, and then we'll see what's left here. He's at 100. 100. We got a lot of people finished here with scouting. That's good. And I will look at those later. We're going to look obviously a lot closer at scouting and whatnot when we get done with that. Let's see. I'm going to start looking for kind of like some more role player stuff. So he's a 1-year stash player. Definitely take a look at those guys. There was a, let's see. I would like to see him. This Javon Ball I wanted to take a look at last time. Anthony Black, decent perimeter defender. Doesn't really do a lot else. Good playmaker, but not really what I'm looking for. Perimeter who can play a little offense. This guy's interesting. Inside scorer and can hit the 3 from the center position. Decent rebounder. Don't mind looking for role player guys, especially if they fall in the second round, things like that. And he is, yeah, he'd be a second rounder, so that can work. Good perimeter defender here. We'll take a look at him. 2 more. Let's see. Yeah, he can do a little bit of everything. Brandon Miller's not bad. Yeah, he looks pretty good too. So, all right, that's fine. So we got our scouting. Continuing on. We took another loss. Well, as much as I didn't want this to be a total rebuild stream, it's like slowly turning into that. We'll look at this trade, but again, I'm not really looking to trade quickly right now. 22-year-old, 74 is never going to play. We don't need center. No. Yeah, we just no interest in that trade. Beat the Spurs. Beat Duncan Robinson's Spurs. Okay, so a day-to-day. We're going to let the coach handle that. I just changed this. So I used to always I let the coach do it, right? But this at least lets you see when you have injuries popping up. But we're going to just go with do that. Mitchell Robinson's fully healed. Yay. Awesome. Well, let's see if we can start winning some games. Nope. I guess not. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, now we're 14-30. I have not been fired yet. Again, I'm still kind of undecided on this whole trade. Again, if you have thoughts on that, I would be very curious to hear, what you do in this situation. I'm very hesitant to bring on more money. I do want to move Derrick Rose, though. I just wish we were getting something else. And I guess, what we can always do on that trade deadline day is just shop Derrick Rose himself and just move him for something, right? I mean, that might be our best bet. Just keep it simple, keep it small. What's up, Goofy? Michael Jordan's Wizards rebuild. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I do want to do one of the historical eras, like a streaming series just like this. I think it'd be really, really cool for sure. So yeah, we will. I don't know if we'll be doing a Knicks one for the entire calendar year or anything like that, but all right. Well, let's keep going here. I don't really think there's nothing else to really look at. See if there's been any trades or anything. Ooh, there have been. We have more trades. So in order, Bucks and Heat make a trade. Clippers and Thunder make a deal. So now we're starting to see some trades. Spurs and Rockets. And the Kings and Grizzlies. So we have some trades going down. Interesting. Let's save this, by the way. Like I said, I'm expecting to be fired at any point. And if so, we might need to turn that off and just kind of revert back. So let's see if we can get all the way to the end of January. Oops. Come on, we're healthy. Gotta start winning some games. So here's a Derrick Rose deal. Going to the Celtics, we'd be getting a shooting guard with a huge price tag, Derek White. And he kind of fits what we're looking for. He can't play point. He's not a bad player. It's just what's bad is the contract, right? I just don't know if I want to spend that much, especially on a guy who can't really contribute on offense. I mean, if we're a playoff team, this is an awesome trade, right? Like, let's get this guy for the playoffs. He's going to lock it down. Let's go. But we're not. I mean, he's 28 years old. This trade just it gets rid of Derrick Rose, but we're also having to swap a second-round pick. And I'm sorry, I guess we get that. But no, it just doesn't make sense. I think we can do better for Derrick Rose even. All right, we got more scouting. Let's see. Might as well start scouting the top, I guess. I'll come back to him in a second. Let's just keep going. Yeah, Goofy, I have used trade vetoes before, but I just kind of look at it like, one, I don't really want to take the time, and two, like, stupid trades are a part of life. And they happen all the time in all sports. There's so many trades where, like, there's, jokes on Twitter where it's like, oh my gosh, imagine if this was in a video game, we'd all be freaking out. And I think there's some truth to that. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, it can be immersion ruining for sure. And if it's a big deal, it also doesn't take too long just to have the trades pop up and you approve them. So yeah, I totally get if people would want to do that. I want to make sure we're scouting, the top of the draft here for sure. We have two picks, right? So I mean, we need to know kind of what's falling to us. All right, that should work. It's almost like it's going to be too easy to draft by the time we're done scouting. All right, let's keep going. Let's save it just so I don't have to redo the scouting again, just in case our governor fires us here. All right, 2 wins in a row. Come on. Oh, come on. All right, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 6. So we'd be getting a 2027 first round pick. That's hilarious. Not really looking to move Emmanuel quickly, even though this probably is a good trade to make, but Troy Brown has little value. Yeah, I mean, he's just bench fodder, as they say. I mean, I'd rather keep, since my job's going to depend on this, I would rather keep Emmanuel quickly around next year. I don't know if I'll be around by the time we have a 2027 first round draft pick. All right, we've had a nice little run. So there's Jalen Brunson hurt again, right? I mentioned that. We just had a nice little run, though. We're now 19-33, so again, it's still terrible. If we look at the standings, yeah, 18 and a half back. And we're still around that 5-game range, you know, kind of creeping up into the low end of the playoff bracket. So yeah, still not great. And I still don't see a big reason to push a deal just yet. I think we're going to be able to really go right up to the deadline, it seems like. Let's save again. Maybe this last week and a half saved my job, saved your job as assistant GM. All right, let's, whoops. Normally I like to look at stats and stuff February 1st, but because we're going to be stopping again here right before the deadline, let's just get right through it. All right. Yeah, they make scouting, it's almost like you need some house rules of like, don't ever scout someone 100. But I don't know. I feel like I've read that even if they're 100, it's still not like completely accurate. And I don't know if anyone can clue me in on that or not. But we're just scouting everybody, everyone in sight here. Maybe I have too many scouts. I don't know. Anyway, well, lots to look at. That'll be good. Come on, let's go on another run here. So we're getting a lot more trade offers now. So quickly, yeah, it's just, there's no value, even though he's only 20. It's just, no, there's just no value in this guy. Same thing here, he's 27. I mean, no, it's just, his offers are bad. Another win. Here's a Derrick Rose. Bogdanovich, so he would be our, who is it, just for Rose and Reddish. Okay, I mean, there's 2 expiring contracts. Here's what's weird, though, is maybe, I don't know, are they just trying to free up contracts? Because Atlanta's really bad. At least the last I checked, they're pretty bad. And they're giving us a first-round draft pick. I mean, this is not a bad deal. It doesn't make a lot of sense for this year, obviously, but it's just, if we move, he's kind of like another Brunson, honestly. You know, and so he's just older. If we were to move Brunson, he makes less money. It's a player option, so he might actually walk. This actually isn't a bad deal. This is an interesting one. Oof, yeah, he is a pretty unhealthy player. He is literally like the future version of Brunson here. Let's see. But it would get us something, and more than that, it would actually get us a He's had a nice career. I mean, I obviously know he's had a decent career. We're just proving it here with the advanced metrics. It's been pretty solid. Not so much this year. Had a really nice last year. I don't mind this deal. I mean, we're also getting a first round pick. I mean, it's literally 2 expiring contracts, 2 players that we looked at in the beginning of saying, I don't plan to do anything with this. I'm just trying to figure out why Atlanta's doing this trade, because it kind of is, it's immersion ruining for me if it doesn't make sense, right? So I guess they're freeing up money in case he decides to stay in Atlanta. But let's see. I'm going to decline it for now. And let me go see, like, what's Atlanta's story here? So Atlanta, yeah, well, no, okay, never mind. I thought they were bad. They're the second seed, so I guess it would make sense for them to go get Derrick Rose potentially. Reddish, I mean, he's a good perimeter defender. We just talked about how it makes sense for a playoff team to go do that. So they're trying to get Rose, but again, he's going to be backing up Trae Young. Like, they also have Murray. Like, what the hell do they need a point guard for? They have nothing at shooting guard. That trade doesn't make any sense. I'm kind of upset that the game even offered that trade. Now, granted, they might, maybe they're using, one of their point guards at shooting guard. That's certainly possible. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess we also can't pretend that we know everything that they're doing. And again, crazy trades do happen. They offered it to us, right? And I feel like that's maybe our best bet. Let's see how these next 3 games go. And I don't know, we might be doing that deal. So there's another loss. Sure, we can view that. Oh, I don't want to make the selections. Let's see. I'm guessing I can just like simulate out of this. I hope. Yeah, okay. I don't know what just happened, but that's okay. So, oof, ugly loss there. Sixers, Magic. Let's see how it goes here. Oh, wow, we beat the Sixers. Crazy. Derrick Rose is day to day. Oh, no, are you kidding me? Are we not going to be able to trade him now? We won that game. Another trade comes in. What are we getting here? 20-year-old, 71. Second round pick this year. No real potential. I'm not a terrible player if we needed to fill out like our G League roster. Small forward, 26. Good 3-point shooter. Decent rebounder. That's kind of about it. Yeah, that's a weird contract. That's a huge contract. I don't know. Not really thrilled with that trade. I'd much rather do the other one. If it lets us. I don't know if it's going to let us if he's hurt. Derrick Rose is hurt. Day to day. Oh, no. Let's see. This is going to be... Well, this is going to simplify the trade deadline tremendously if this is what happens. So let's see. Well, just do it. Okay, we can't trade him. Wow. All right. Oh my goodness. I mean, so if that's the case, can I still simulate one more day? We need Derrick Rose to be healthy. Oh, finally. Oh, we got lucky. Oh, we got super lucky. Let's save it again. Very, very, very lucky. I'm kind of leaning towards... So I think if I hit this... Let's see. Yeah, I do want to stop. Okay, yeah, I was just making sure that's the last day. So... Wow. So I like that Rose and... I mean, we can save some money just by getting rid of Reddish as well. I mean, is there anybody else that's just on a one-year deal that we could... He's making decent money. Not Barrett. So no, that's really it. I mean, yeah, let's just see. And I'm not going to go through each of these teams. Again, I feel it's a little bit corny. We have 13 offers, but I would look at if that same team's kind of back. So there's the, if we kind of followed up with the Bulls, they'd also throw in Kobe White. Shooting guard, not bad. Let's see. Can shoot the three. Good playmaker, just not a really good defender. Yeah, I don't know. Don't really have a need for him. It's an expiring contract, but we don't really care about that. Yeah, I'm going to say no to that one. Who was the other team? Oh, it was Atlanta, right? But that was not the deal. But Atlanta's offering this. Here's what we can do. So let's go back into, because Atlanta was the trade. Let's propose a trade. Or I guess trade finder, would it still be? So the idea was we'd do this, and we would do Reddish to the Hawks. And, I mean, I don't really care who they send us, honestly. Let's just hit start, and I think they'll kind of throw us some different offers. So, I guess not. I forget how you, like, do it, where you just get the one team. I guess I have to pick something from their team, right? So let's try to... I know they're going to say no to Murray. I've already tried that. So they said Bogdanovich, or they were going to do... Capella would be the other player. Now, again, we're pretty set at center. I mean, he's a beast for sure. Capella, or I think it's Capella, right? He's pretty healthy for his age and size. What's that contract look like, though? Yeah, that's going to be even more problematic. I still worry. I mean, if he picks up that option, like, we're just kind of stuck with him. And again, it's not that it's bad. Let's select him and just kind of see what they come up with. So I think these will now only be deals from the Hawks. And there's just the one, and that's the one we were looking at, right? So, you pick up an extra first-round pick. But they want Grimes. Oh, weird. Huh. Let's see. I feel like there's a way you can still get this, like, accomplished, right? So if we go here again... Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish to the Hawks. Bogdanovich. And they were going to do a draft pick. How the hell do I get to their picks? Oh, there we go. L3. Like, I'd rather have this pick. Let's just see if they go for that. But again, the question is, like, do we want that? Do I actually want this guy around? Under the minimum. The team can do this trade using a minimum player limit exception that lasts 2 weeks. Okay. I don't know. So what I need to look at still is just, like, what do we do with this guy next year? Like, we still have Brunson on the team. And not that we can change that, or that we cannot not change that. We have Fournier on the team still. I don't know. This is a tough decision. And we are approaching the top of the hour. And I think this is a really good place to stop this particular episode. And I think we're going to pick it up right at the trade deadline, which is kind of the original plan. That's what we said after episode 1. So let's mull this over, including you. If you have comments on what we do here, right? We have a few different options. We're at the trade deadline again, even though we've had a nice little run. Our record is 22-34, so we're still 12 games below 500. We are technically, where are we at? So we need to be 11 and a half back to make a playoff spot ish. Again, we're about 4 or 5 games out. So, and that's just making the playoffs, right? So we're really not in a position like, yay, we made the playoffs and we're going to get swept in the first round. That's probably not something to get too excited about. I'm still leaning towards selling. Of course, there is still the option to go buy, or maybe there's a little bit of a hybrid where we can find a point guard who can come in, or something like this that kind of fits our team for the immediate and for the future. So be curious what you say on that. But next episode, let's hit the trade deadline right away, and let's go through and really kind of start getting through the playoffs potentially, and start talking about the offseason after that. So share your thoughts. I would love to hear it. I'm Mike Lowe, and I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you'd like, and it'll ping you when we're up next. And I think the next stream, I'll probably be streaming this weekend. It might not be this series. I think I'm going to keep this series on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I think on the weekends, at least during football season, probably do some sort of football stream, whether that's Madden or NCAA 14 revamped or whatever it might be. So look for that stream coming this weekend. I appreciate everyone checking out the videos, and I will see you next time.